if in that second listen you laugh twice, then you should just keep listening. But I'm telling you, stick through it. Listen to one full episode, and I guarantee you'll laugh, potentially cry. You might want to fight KB and shout me out on Twitter or whatever the case.
That's fine. At this point, I'm ready.
But yeah, before we break down the rest of this week's NFL news, why don't you go ahead and tell people what this broadcast/podcast is like, Kenneth?
Man, this broadcast is like losing out on something you thought was really important, but then you find something and that ends up being so much better, and then you realize, I actually wanted this all along. That's what this podcast is like.
Wow, that was awesome. Congrats. I'm not being sarcastic for once.
Not being facetious at all?
No, not for once.
I can feel the honesty. Thank you.
I think this is the most applause we've ever had in our 70 show history.
This is the 70th show, huh?
Yeah, actually it is. If you take the whole podcast format, I think it's like episode probably number like 12 on the good news. But yeah, probably like 70.
True. And then overall, it's definitely in the 300s probably. But
all right, so
yeah,
let's move on to Take or Tangent. Let's try to make this quick. We don't have a ton of time. So after the NFL draft, we've already bashed them all throughout the show, so might as well bash them a little bit more into this segment.
Good.
The Oakland Raiders found out that Donald Penn was being investigated for a domestic violence incident. Do you have a take or a tangent on that?
I'll give my take by explaining at least the initial reports. The initial reports are pretty much him and his wife having an argument. He slapped his wife on the buttocks. That's their words, not mine. Yeah. She didn't like it. They started arguing. He poured water on her head. It got out of control after that. Pretty much like this is a dude who's had his side chick and his main chick at the game together. It's a situation that just, from the looks of it, blew way out of hand, and it's only going to get worse. So I wish all parties the best on both sides.
I think from what I understand, they were already getting a divorce, and they were having a disagreement, and there weren't any hands put, but
he did.
It was a loud disagreement. So I don't know.
Allegedly.
My take on it is
he cost himself some money.
I don't know. I don't believe in either of the Raiders to tackle prospects to cut Donald Penn, but he's definitely on the chopping block.
One more bad thing and he might be gone, even though Tom Cable has multiple domestic violence and assault cases and stuff against him. You kind of can't kill him for something that your offensive line coach is literally infamously known for. He's never developed offensive linemen, by the way, just saying.
All right, I've actually been waiting for your take on this all day long. So, Derrick Johnson, former Kansas City linebacker, probably Hall of Famer.
The only Texas linebacker I respect.
Yeah, he visited the Oakland Raiders today. So, do you have a take or a tangent on Derrick Johnson potentially signing with the Oakland Raiders?
I think it will be the perfect amount of pettiness to start a petty war that ends up in a knife fight / street fight / somebody getting killed with a trident like on Anchorman between the Chiefs and the Raiders.
Especially since the Chiefs took Reggie McKenzie's son.
Oh yeah, this is like an episode of Power. Like this is how someone's gonna get left in the street crying, holding a loved one. Like this is how it's gonna end. This is like the perfect. Like Andy Reid's like, you know what? If I don't win a ring, Doug Peterson already won before me. Whatever. I'm here for the smoke. Let's do this. So I think it'll be great. And honestly, it's just a way to drive NaVorro Bowman's price down because honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he went back to if he went to the Chiefs and Derrick Johnson came to the Raiders. And I think it would be a perfect fit because Derrick Johnson's actually still really athletic. He's still fast. He can still cover, which is what they need, a middle linebacker who can cover. And I think, they'll get some tackles here and there. But I think the secondary will be better coverage-wise, so I think there'll be less missed tackles. But for him, He could probably come in and play outside linebacker, but I think he'd be perfect if he came in and played middle linebacker wearing 56. I think it'll be great for the Raiders, and just we need that necessary Kansas City Chief, Oakland Raider pettiness. Like, we need that in our lives.
Yeah, man, pretty much going off what you said.
They went too far when they drafted, what's-his-face?
I think Johnson is a good pick for the Raiders just because we saw it even in that final Tennessee game where he almost single-handedly won the game for the Chiefs. He just has those sort of instincts that you can't teach and that the Raiders can only hope and pray that they can develop in their 6th-round pick linebackers.
Who runs a 4.78 or something like that.
Yeah. So I'm pro Derrick Johnson. Why not? Might as well.
And, like, again,
he's probably cheaper than Navarro Bowman anyways, and
honestly,
he's probably faster and plays with better.
He's always been faster. I think he almost ran a 4.5 coming out of Texas. Again, one of the few Texas players I respect. And he was on that national championship team that beat USC. So mad respect. Him and Michael Huff. There, I said it. You happy?
Yeah. Finally, you respect Michael Huff. All right,
yeah,
Eric Reid. He's filing a lawsuit.
He's joining Kaepernick's collusion case
against the NFL.
And I couldn't agree more.
So take your tangent because I've also been waiting for you to speak on this.
I think his brother, Justin Reid, was wrongfully passed over, too, because his brother is Eric Reid. Why else would he, a first-round talent, fall all the way to the 3rd round? That made no sense to me. This dude could have easily, the Patriots could have taken him. A bunch of teams could have taken him. The Vikings definitely probably should have looked at him. But, like,
here's my take on it.
The fact that Eric Reid is honestly a top 15 safety, and I'm being generous, he's honestly I could say he could sneak into the top 10. Top 15. That's actually, top 15.
I think if you consider both safeties, he's probably top 15.
Yeah. Either safety spot, he's top 10 for versatility, and he played linebacker. Like, the dude can play. And I really think he
honestly, though, dirty. My take on it is that I think Reid joining the suit hurts Kaepernick's case. Because as you just said, he's another top talent who's not being signed, and they're going to point at it and just be like, well, hey, there's other good players out there that aren't signed.
Yeah, but then, like, Trey Boston isn't better than him. So
Trey Boston isn't signed.
Yeah, he's not. But he's a free safety, too. He's a safety,
but
too.
But that's what I'm saying.
He's not better than Eric Reid.
What I'm saying is I don't feel like having somebody else jump onto your suit necessarily proves that the NFL
but here's why
as a whole collectively colluded against you.
He went to the Cleveland the Cincinnati Bengals, and it was reported multiple times that they're like, yo, we'll sign you, but you can't protest. You got to sign something like you can't take a knee, none of that. He's like, I'm going to still do it. And they said, okay, we're not going to sign you. So you're essentially...
But he said he's not going to protest multiple times. But
yeah, but the reports are coming out of that meeting that that's what they put on the table for him to do. And if you already coming into something telling me you're going to take my First Amendment right away before I actually utilize it, I wouldn't sign with you either. That's a bad move. And to even... the truth to that, there's any truth to that at all.
But I think if you
that
really,
adds to the collusion case.
If you really break it down, though,
he's not a bad safety.
If you really break it down, though, that's like any of our employers, right?
Nah, you can't compare that though, because that's the only real reason why he hasn't been signed on. He hasn't even been offered.
I'm not arguing with that. I'm just arguing with the logic and the thinking behind it
but one doesn't precurse the other.
Because the NFL's not getting sued over them not getting signed. They're getting sued over basically the whole league conspiring to not sign him.
You just said the same thing differently.
Exactly, because it's that refined. It's not the fact that he's not getting signed. It's the fact that
he's not getting signed because the league is conspiring against him.
Exactly.
Based off them doing the whole kneeling, which is a violation of their First Amendment rights, which is all illegal.
Yeah.
So essentially you're agreeing with me just
no, but what I'm saying is I don't feel like Reid joining it helps him.
Doesn't hurt him though.
Yeah, I mean,
if he had a separate case, I would agree with you. But he's joining Kaepernick's case. And think about it. A lot of people are gonna get pulled into Kaepernick's case. Eric Reid's like, dude, I was right there with him the whole time. What if they do it to Eli Harold? Eli Harold doesn't have that much of a case because he hasn't been productive his whole career. But he took a knee with him. He took a knee with Kaepernick and Eric Reid. So in this case, Eric Reid, because he is a premium talent still and was a first round pick, and honestly was so good that he had to bulk up and they made him play linebacker. And then you figure his brother just doesn't get touched until the third round. Like, I have an issue with that.
I think we all have an issue with that, but that's not really the question. The question is, are people exchanging texts and saying, hey, don't sign this guy?
At a higher level?
Yeah.
Owners, probably, yeah.
Yeah, probably, but what it's going to court for is they're trying to prove that.
Yeah, but they have enough concrete proof in other areas. All you need is reasonable doubt. That's all you need.
Not really.
No, in some cases you need reasonable. And
really.
no, in this particular case, he has to say like, okay, all these teams,
We've already talked about how significant this case is and about how it can significantly.
Yeah, I think it's more
disbar the NFL. So
I think it's different for Kaepernick because Kaepernick really didn't get signed over.
But that's what I'm saying.
QBs.
That's what I'm saying.
Reid didn't get signed because he wouldn't agree to stop protesting. And that's wrong too.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get it.
That's what I'm saying.
But I'm saying
that's where my difference is.
They're under the same umbrella, just two different sides of the umbrella.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say. So I feel like them linking together doesn't necessarily help Kaepernick's because Kaepernick's
it
issue
widens
is different.
The scope, but it widens the
because,
scope.
like you said, Trey Boston, like as you've already talked about it multiple times on this show,
other safeties
this whole safety
signed.
class has gotten snuffed. So Eric Reid signing on, I don't feel like that adds on because yes, it has to do with protesting, but it also has to do with the fact that.
But here's why it matters because it shows like a timeline. It's like, okay, we didn't know that.
I do get. That part I do get because Reid was the first one to do it with him.
In the beginning, if you think about it, no one could say, "Oh, it looks like Kaepernick's being shut out, being blackballed." But we got to a point where we knew he was being blackballed. Now we can see the process of of Eric Reid being blackballed.
And he's just at the start. That's what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So it's like it's really actually makes him look stupid. That's why I'm like, the Vikings should probably go sign him. Like a team that actually needs an upgrade at safety should be looking at Eric Reid. Because if he had got signed to a team, I guarantee you he wouldn't have joined Kaepernick's lawsuit. Because what would have been the point? You look stupid.
All right. Last one. Or second to last one. How about that?
Because we got some news we got to cover too.
Matt Ryan, he signed a record extension. What, 5 years, $150 million?
It's like 6 years, $103 million.
Something like that. Pretty much.
Realistically,
he got more money than
it's 5 years
than Jimmy G, which you're happy about. So
it sets the that bleeds me to a second point. But go ahead, finish.
Go ahead, give me a take or a tangent on it.
Feel like it sets the quarterback market right. Because Kirk Cousins shouldn't be the highest paid quarterback, getting $84 million guaranteed, and Jimmy G shouldn't be the highest paid yearly player. Matt Ryan's the first NFL player to make $30 million a year at QB, and his contract, he has $100 million guaranteed cash.
My take on it is I don't think he's gonna even play it out.
What? You don't think he's going to play? He's not going to play another 5 years?
I don't know if he has 5 more years of being an elite quarterback.
Bro, he's an elite.
You're telling me that in 2023,
if they give him a better
Matt Ryan is going to be an elite quarterback?
I think he can play another 5 years. I don't think he's Joe Flacco.
Maybe he can play 5 years, but being an elite quarterback worth top 5 money for 5 years.
How many years was he really elite, if we're being honest?
Thank you for making my point.
5?
Thank you for making my point.
Saying,
that's my point exactly. So I don't really see him being that level again for another 5 years.
He's been great.
I mean, you're really talking about Matt Ryan being elite.
260 touchdowns, 41,000 yards
3
passing.
years in his career?
Yeah. I think he can play another 5 years.
I'm not saying he can't play for 5 years. I'm saying I don't think he's going to be elite worth that money for 5 years.
So, he'll on some Flacco stuff, he'll decline. Like, he has 3 years left, and it's a downhill slide after that.
Pretty much.
You think it'll start with him getting rid of Julio?
Like that
Did
last
it all
year,
come together? Oh, man.
last year he'll be a bridge quarterback for sure. Those last maybe even 2 years he might be a bridge quarterback.
That's rough. Because I mean they